You're just saving all of these things for later when we do a blooper reel, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Anyway, we're live. Woohoo!
Woo!
Angel Syndicate Live, Season 2, Episode 3, Hail Hydra. I am, of course, David Angelus X Sloan White, and with me is the ever amazing.
Matt Sans Pants Fleming, and today we've got a lot of fun stuff to talk about. So let's get started. Let's see what's on the docket. After I move my damn window. Okay, as you can probably guess, we might as well get it out of the way. Hail Hydra!
Hail Hydra.
Yeah, according to a lot of news sites, as anyone who has been on the internet at all lately can tell you, in the comic books, our favorite Captain America has always been a double, triple secret Hydra agent. Now, I haven't read the comic book yet, but I've been watching a lot of the reactions, which, of course, end up having a lot of the usual going between, "Oh wow, that sucks," to "Oh God, we are going to kill you in your sleep." I wish I were paraphrasing. A lot of reactions here. What do you think, David?
Well, comic fans are some of the biggest reactionary forces in the world. When there are changes to beloved characters that are as drastic, it even if it's not even in continuity, but as a side story, they still react overwhelmingly. So I'm not surprised at this reaction, considering the way the movies have gone. It's touching a much bigger audience when news breaks in the comics. Even people who aren't reading the comics are starting to react. So yeah, it's I don't know. Some of it is overborn or overblown, but it's it's interesting to watch how everybody has an opinion on it.
Well, everyone's going to have an opinion on it, and this is the first time since the Marvel Cinematic Universe is kicked up that comic books have done what comic books inevitably do. They go and do something to completely change everything up. Things get weird for a while, and then, normally everything wraps up. And we have a big host of brand new people that haven't been exposed to that are surprise, Captain America was a werewolf at one point. Him saying he's a part of Hydra, hell, he was a Nazi for like a couple times back in the 80s, I believe it was. This kind of stuff just happens. I find that the response has from all these new people, it's kind of adorable because it's kind of one of those things where, oh, I remember back when I first got completely outraged at stuff, which for me was the death and return of Superman back in the
Yeah.
90s. But, and the biggest problem is now we have the internet. So now we have a lot of people who are able to get together and talk about this stuff outside of, cryptic message boards and, all the stuff that we used to use back in the 90s and even before then when the only thing you could do is sit around your comic book shop, bitch at each other and write very unhappy letters to the editor and hope that they print it in a future printing.
Oh, exactly. And it's I understand the reaction, right? Because Cap has always been. It's like if we saw a similar reaction with Man of Steel. To put it simply, when Superman went on his wild rampage, well, I shouldn't say wild rampage, but spoilers if you haven't seen it. Some people died, and Soups killed somebody, and the uproar from everywhere was insane. It's basically the same thing. The difference being that Cap didn't kill anybody. He just revealed to be part of Hydra. So the thing that amuses the most, the thing that amuses me the most, is that it was this the one comic. They set it up, and then it just spread from there. It's a story device. It's obviously a story device, and I don't expect it to be a lasting effect on continuity. They're going to play with it for a while. They're going to drive everybody nuts doing it. But eventually, at the end of the day, Cap is obviously going to be a quadruple agent. Or, it's just going to be a haha, just kidding. Or any number of possibilities.
Yeah, and frankly, from a personal note, I'm really interested in seeing how it's going to turn out. Just because I want to see how they are going to justify all of this and how they're going to end up wrapping it up. Because there have been a few cases where doing that's been really awesome. All of our comic book characters that we've known and loved. Hell, Captain America was dead for how long? Was it like 2 or 3 years ago when he got shot?
Yeah.
At the end of is it the end of the last Civil War, right?
Yes, I believe so. And then Falcon took up the shield.
Yeah, this weird shit happens all the damn time. If you want to go absolutely crazy, go do a Google search for Superman as a dick and just look through the archives of this one guy's Tumblr, or I think it's a Tumblr or a webpage, where he points out all of the different cases where Superman was just an absolute jerk just to get a comic continuing because by the time the 70s and 80s rolled around, or even the 60s, Superman was already over a decade old. They had run out of stories for him. So just trying to get him to do anything there was freaking amazing. Comic book continuity is weird like that. I think the biggest problem with all of this that I've seen is an abject change in how fans react to stuff that they don't like. It's not the, oh God, this isn't what I like. This isn't what I like at all. It's the idea of you should be making things that we enjoy. And if you don't make things to my specifications, then clearly you're a bad person. And I have seen multiple cases of this throughout this whole fiasco. And that is very dangerous thinking in the eyes of a creator. Creators are there to create. They're there to make stuff. Sometimes they're going to make stuff that you don't like, and that's okay. You don't have to like it. Someone can take an existing property and turn it into a direction that you don't like. Trust me, as someone in games, we've seen that a lot.
Yes.
It's there, but it's still the thing that the creators are doing. They're doing stuff. They are creating things. You are sitting there and enjoying these things that they are creating. They're not beholden to you. And honestly, instead of threatening their lives or whatever, you should A, stop ingesting it, or B, go make your own stuff and see, and cultivate your own audience of stuff that you like, and then other people start crowding around that instead. And then we'll be able to move forward. Sitting there and, claiming that, someone's making something in, Captain America, and I don't like it because they're not catering to me, is bad.
Well, exactly. And the other thing is that in the overall reaction, I haven't seen that many people, articles or otherwise, suggesting, the possibilities behind the revelation. Because with comics, anything happens. We've seen this so many times. Nobody really stays dead in the long run. And do we even know that this is Cap? Like, do we know? No, we don't. It could be anything. It could be, a clone. It could be a robot. It could be anything. But
it could be a scroll.
It could be a squirrel.
We need to rehash that all over again. Oh yeah, did everyone fucking forget the scroll invasion? How many of those have we had by now? Or oh yeah, this person's acting completely out of character. They're doing terrible things over there. Oh wait, it's a scroll. Did everyone forget that?
Yeah. Oh, of course. You have to remember, when the mob gets together, there's comprehensive amnesia that follows with it. So, it's just interesting how the dynamic between fandom and creators has, we touch on this almost every week, and we've been talking about it for years, is with the internet, it's just big microphones for every opinion, and the loudest ones are usually the negative ones. So
yep, and they get clicks, which is why everyone goes through and makes a list. Here's the top 20 horrible fucking reactions, including there was some dude, I'm not even gonna bother linking it, who on his Tumblr account said, "Listen here, I'm a military man, and I based my entire life around Captain America's ideals. So if if Captain America was always a Skrull, or not Skrull, was always a double agent for Hydra, then that just means that everything I've been living is a lie. I will hunt you down and I will find you." And I'm like, no, that's just about the worst reaction. That's the only one that we're all hearing. You're right. We haven't heard. I don't think I've seen a single thing contemplating a theory about why Captain America has been like this. or what the hell could possibly go on. All I've heard was this is no good. I don't like this, and I think that's a little disturbing and troubling more than anything. No one's interested. If you're not interested in seeing how it's going to go on, then are all of our stories just going to be about Captain America kicking people and saving the day? Because those stories have already been done. And also, the storytelling requirements of that is just a little bit above Nancy Drew.
Well, exactly. Maybe that's a piece that we should do. We should look at, what could possibly be going on. Like, why not? There's so many
Maybe, yeah. I
possibilities.
should go. You know what? Maybe this week I'll see if I can acquire the latest Captain America and maybe put that in my Dropbox and start following that and start coming up with some theories of my own. That might be a fun thing.
Yeah, it would be, and it's nice to do a counterpoint against all the hysteria, because there eventually you'd think common sense would break out, but it never does on the internet. Things just blow up and then they quiet down and somebody gets mad about something else.
You said a boot.
Quiet you. Sorry.
Yeah, but you make a valid point. I have no problem with doing some stuff like that. Just remind me after the show to go bug the appropriate people to make that stuff happen. But yeah, I mean, I'm kind of interested in seeing how it's going. I'm not a fan of it. I will certainly join in that, and that this is definitely a 180 from all the other stuff. And I have no idea why the hell they're doing this, timing it after, right after Captain America had a movie
Oh,
before right after Civil War. The timing on that just is
the timing on that is perfect. From a marketing sense, it's perfect. Because people are going to buy it wondering what the hell everybody's talking about. That's how you sell
that's
comics.
A valid point.
It'd be like after a new Batman movie, right? All of a sudden, Batman hangs up his cape, gives up, and becomes a potato farmer. And Commissioner Gordon takes up the bat suit, which they've already done. But insert random person here being Batman because Batman's just tired of it. That kind of change again, right after a Batman movie, it's excellent marketing. Pick any hero you want. I mean, we're going to see, probably after the next Wolverine movie, it would not surprise me, within a month or two, we'll see that Wolverine is alive again in the comics.
Well, considering that he has a built-in, no, really, I'm fine, guys. Just right there. Yeah. I'm really surprised that after the Deadpool movie, they haven't had just an entire series of Deadpool invading other people's comics.
That's probably coming, but I don't think they'll do that, mainly because not yet. They're going to probably do that when they bridge the gap between Deadpool 1 and Deadpool 2. When we know when Deadpool 2 is coming out, that's when we'll start seeing it.
Valid point, and it's probably just going to be its own series. It's going to be Deadpool,
Yeah.
Blah blah blah, and Deadpool, and it's just going to be a short series. Because I mean, they've done one-offs like that before. I still need to go pick up Punisher Kills the Marvel Universe, just because.
Well, yeah, it's Punisher.
It's the motherfucking Punisher. But yeah, all right, okay. Let's drop this one on because we do have a number of things we should be talking about here.
We do. We've ridden this one quite well.
Yeah. God, we can run that one right into the fucking ground. Okay, convention talk: big shows versus small shows.
Yeah, this is something that I've been pondering for a couple of years now, since I've been going to HalCon, which is a sci-fi convention in Halifax. It's not a big show. They've managed to pull in some pretty interesting guests and a couple of names, and it's been really fun. But, thinking back on my experiences there compared to the bigger shows that I've been to over the years, especially the Star Trek conventions, there's a definite appeal to the atmosphere of a smaller show compared to a big one.
I definitely agree. And if you look at some of the big conventions that have opened up over the years, I'm looking at you, PAX. It's getting to the point where you have these gigantic ass conventions that everyone wants to go to, and no one can really get into because they have upper limits and there are fire codes. It's getting absolutely baffling between that and E3 turning in going from more of a internal game developers and news reporter type affair to a and yet another gigantic ass convention where they want everyone to attend. It's it's starting to get a little weird. I mean, hell, even GDC has they're showing stuff there, and that's supposed to be an actual game developers conference that is quickly turning into something that people are wanting to pay attention to, and the lay people, the fans, are wanting to get in on it. I'm not quite sure what the future of conventions like that are going to be in terms of the big scale.
Well, exactly. It's like things are blowing up. We've seen this with E3, PAXs, even you're right about the Game Developer Conference. I mean, Gamescom is huge,
Oh
enormous.
God.
TGS is just insane. But and
And an
then
absolute blast, by the way.
oh, absolutely. And then there's the big ones like San Diego Comic Con, and all the big ones more comic world centric and everything else. And there's conventions for everything now. That it seems that the point of them, to an extent, has gotten lost. You know,
That's valid.
because it used to be either it was just game developers getting together to talk shop and show off stuff, and yeah, news would come out of it. But now it's even especially E3, and we're starting to see E3 sort of start to collapse on itself. Is there's these huge press conferences. They're streamed all over the world. Everybody watches all these trailers. Everybody gets excited. They're getting their message out. It's great. The eyes are on the products. But at the same time, that what used to be a celebration of the creativity in the industry is getting lost behind all the marketing.
I definitely agree there. Speaking of, I mean, bringing up San Diego Comic Con, that used to be just a really big comic book convention where all the big comic book stars showed up. And then you started seeing movie premieres. The Twilight fans started jumping in there because they started showing stuff there. And suddenly it became this gigantic marketing machine where people who actually care about comics are getting pushed out by the people that care about all of this stuff that's kind of ancillary. I get the point. Back in the day, when you were trying to run a convention that was just about comics, it was a pain in the ass to actually get people in. It required a lot of stuff. But now it's to the point where when they were trying to overreach and grab all these different things to kind of make something for everyone, nerd shit is in now. So everyone is trying to go to these things so they can experience everything. And we kind of have the reverse problem. We've got too many people that are interested in this stuff. And I'm wondering if maybe it's about time for us to start branching out and turning this, making a comic book convention about comic books. If you want to have a nerd movie thing or a kick-ass TV convention, maybe we should just have a kick-ass TV convention.
Well, exactly. I mean, there's so much genre stuff across every medium that it would not be that difficult to split them off and spin them out into different events over a year, covering each specific medium, rather than trying to bring everything together. Because even during E3, we're getting stuff about not video games coming out of E3. So, and that's the thing. Like with the smaller conventions like HalCon, which I absolutely adore. Big disclaimer, I've covered it as press and I love the show mainly because of the atmosphere. It's relaxed, everybody's nice, and you get that feeling that I'm with a group of people who love the same shit I do. We might disagree on some things. We might not like every single thing that's the same, but we all love something, and we're comfortable displaying it, and we're around our people for a weekend. We get to see some stars, do some Q&As, panels, the usual things, and it's just comfortable. But when you're at a big show, everything's so frantic and frenetic, you can't see everything. You don't have time to indulge in one specific thing because there's so many things.
Absolutely. This is definitely me and David both saying, please go to your local conventions, enjoy those, and just catch streams of the other stuff if you can. Simply because you're going to get a better experience. And I think that's something that we're all looking forward to. And speaking of the Comic Con stuff, if you've been watching over the last few years, it looks like they've been licensing out that specific term all over the United States. Smaller places are getting their own Comic Cons. I know Yakima, Washington had a Comic Con back in October, November. I know that San Francisco is getting its own Comic Con, which I am both very interested in, quite loathing that, because that's just going to get absolutely fucking swamped. And we're not the only ones that are getting those. So I think they're doing a smart thing and trying to open up a bunch of more local ones to kind of build up Comic-Con as a brand and spreading out the pain so that people can go and enjoy the stuff on their own terms, as opposed to everyone trying to pack into San Diego, because no one wants to go to San Diego. You're going to bake everything off.
Yeah, really. And these days everything that happens in those shows comes out anyway, either through the news or people uploading videos to YouTube. What you might have wanted to see and couldn't get in, you could probably find on YouTube anywhere from a couple of days to a month later. It's going to get released somewhere anyway.
Well, hell, that reminds me. Fox is supposed to be not showing any of their stuff at San Diego Comic-Con for that exact reason. They're apparently tired of people going there making really shitty videos of all the releases that they were going to, all the pre-release stuff that they were going to do there, and then spoiling it before the official outlets were able to get their gears together and show it off. I don't know how I feel about that.
I can understand it. But at the same, I can understand the reasoning why they feel that way. But at the same time, even if it's shitty video, it's about fan enthusiasm, and that's what they should want. They want the fans enthusiastic, and yeah, they'll watch the crappy cell phone video of something. But as soon as they actually release the thing, everybody's gonna watch it again anyway, because they're gonna want to see it in high quality. They're gonna actually want to see it not jiggling around and right there, they can fill their screens with it and be happy. So they don't really have anything to lose, but at the same time, they want to keep their secrets, and it's an odd mix of secrecy versus pleasing your fans.
Yeah, and I get that they want to spoil people and that they want to show all of their stuff in the best light, because let's face it, Fox has been reamed more than a few times for having absolutely shitty previews. That they released at Comic-Con, and then everyone's spoiled by them before the marketing machine is able to deal with the fallout. And I can see where they could be kind of like, you know what, screw this, we're going to take our ball and go home. But then why bother showing it if it's not going to be your best stuff?
Well, that's the thing. Like, they thought it was their best stuff. You'd think they'd learn by now that maybe something needs to be fixed there. That might be the bigger problem.
Yeah, and honestly, there's a reason why I'm not working in the movie industry right now. It's because I value my soul. So, well...
You have a soul?
Well, to be fair, about 2 or 3 different entities kind of own my soul right now. Not going to mention any names of any major game companies out there, but yeah.
Yeah, the divided soul. It's okay. I understand.
Yeah, alright. Moving on past my soul, my broken soul.
Yes.
Let's talk about some Chrono Trigger.
Yes, Chrono Trigger. Video going around today from GameSpot talking about the original director stating he wanted to make a high-quality remake of the beloved title. I'm of two minds. First, I would play any damn remake of Chrono Trigger or Chrono Cross that came out. Hands down, I'd play it. But at the same time, I'd love them to release they could clean up the graphics a little bit, but don't change anything else of the original version on Steam as well.
Now, where are they releasing that, by the way, or have they said?
It hasn't been said anything about a release, just that he'd like to do it.
Oh, well, I'd like to do lots of things. I'd like to do all kinds of things.
Oh, I know.
I don't know. I can't get excited about, someone saying, oh, man, I'd love to do that, because That's just like every actor or actress saying, "Man, I'd love to do, I'd love to do blah, or I'd love to get back and do blah, or I'd love to make another episode of blah." Because I mean, I'm kind of a brown coat, and I've kind of heard all this before.
Well, yeah, but I think as far as this discussion goes, is whether or not it's necessary. That's the thing with all the remakes that are happening right now, especially in movies. And video games are starting to do the same thing, although they've done it for years, but it's picking
I
up.
was I was gonna say, dude,
Yeah,
really,
it's picking
really.
up more. It's becoming more and more prevalent. That
I think it's the East. I think it's a lot of Eastern companies are discovering what the West has already figured out a while ago, and that's that people really like playing the games that they used to play. I mean, hell, one of my roommates has been playing the hell out of Final Fantasy IX again, just for nostalgic purposes. Now, imagine if they went through and cleaned up the graphics on that, made it to where it'll actually play decently in widescreen. She'd probably go out there and buy it again. Um, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know on the quality of the Steam release that came out last month, 2 months ago. I haven't looked into it because I went with
Yeah,
Final
I think
Fantasy
yeah,
X.
it's on Steam. I believe there's an iPad version as well. I mean, and this is just them going through and saying, okay, let's throw a wrapper around this puppy and put it out. Which, in video game terms, if that happened a decade ago, or even hell, 6 or 7 years ago, um, people, people would have just thrown their hands up and rioted. Whereas now, I don't know. It seems like people are actually getting it. That and the fact that they're actually doing it well this time.
Yeah, well, I mean, they re-released 6, and that was there has been a lot of unhappy comments about that one on Steam.
Oh,
But
really?
yeah, they went with the iPad port, I believe, the iOS mobile port, rather than a re-release of the re-release. There was the re-released edition that they put out on PS2 as a compilation, I believe. Final
Yeah, I
Fantasy
have that one.
Origins or something. Yeah, instead they went with the graphics from the mobile version and released that on PC, and that hasn't gone over well.
They
But well, I was gonna say, but Final Fantasy X is I've got that release, and I've got Final Fantasy 13.2 and 13.3, and those ones they haven't screwed with anything other than improving the quality, like making it high definition. Those are perfect as they are. I mean, I could live without the cheats and everything that they added in because that shit is garbage. But otherwise, they could do that with more titles, and I could see them doing it with Chrono Trigger. But the thing that gets to me is at this point, I think the only thing left that Square Enix hasn't put a Final Fantasy title on is toilet paper, and they have so many
don't.
other titles that they could do this with that it begs the question, what else is coming?
Well, I imagine right now they're probably just going down the list and seeing what the hell they can remake because it's pretty obvious people are going to buy it. I mean, just looking through the list of stuff that all of the different comments that have been put up there. Um, yeah, overall, 411 reviews on Final Fantasy VI. I'm looking at it on Steam right now. It's just that game is how many years old, and all they had to do was take a port of it and just slap it up on Steam, and it, considering that out of every 10 people that buy a game, only one's going to really review it. That's a fair chunk of money for a minimal amount of work. So I don't.
Well, exactly. So, and I mean, they've got the Final Fantasy VII remake happening, spread
That's not
across
a remake,
three
dude.
releases.
That's more
No?
than a remake.
Well,
They're
yeah.
taking the game. They're taking the plot points and they're actually expanding on all the other shit that they've done since Seven came out. It's going to be huge. It's good. They're gonna have a lot of reminiscent stuff in there, but it's gonna be a whole new tiger right there.
Well, that's true. But, I think also we've got 15 coming, finally. So maybe they're just throwing things out right now just because trying to buy goodwill for 15 because they need
Maybe.
it.
Yeah. Yeah. They kind of do. I mean, then again, I'm the guy that bought 8 the day it came out and returned it the very next day, traded in for credit because it fresh. We're not going to get into that.
Yeah, because I actually enjoyed 8 to a certain degree.
And you know what? You're allowed to be wrong. That's okay. All right, let's move on.
Yep.
Let's talk about Transformers 5, which I never thought I'd say in my life.
Yeah, well, there's two things that came out this week about Transformers 5, which, yes, there's a fifth one. Transformers 5 The Last Night, I believe is the title. Sir Anthony Hopkins is joining the cast, apparently, which really boggles the mind. And they are updating Bumblebee to a custom-built 2016 Camaro. So, yeah. Sir Anthony
That
Hopkins in Transformers. Go.
well, hey, I too like to make money.
Well, yes. That is true. But I don't know, man. Like I can understand, but Sir Anthony does not need the money.
Maybe he does. Maybe he had one too many, blackjack and hooker parties, or maybe he spent his money poorly, or maybe he looked at the script and was like, "Holy crap, this might be kind of fun because I literally have nothing better to do with my time."
All those are plausible. It's just hard to wrap my mind around it. It really is.
I can go with that because I've seen, there have been a few really nice names on some really big steaming piles of crap. I'm looking at you, Dungeons and Dragons.
Truth.
Yeah, that was a movie that I went in with low expectations, and I was still disappointed. And I tried my damnedest to like it. I really did. The CGI was just scary, and the dude with the pink lipstick, whose name I can't remember, was just I wanted to like it. I really did. But ah
I liked it only because it put me in mind of a direct-to-video sequel to the cartoon. So that's the way I viewed it. I viewed it through the lens of watching the cartoon.
if they actually did a live action version of the cartoon in a whole movie, that would be fucking metal. I would watch that in a heartbeat.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, I mean, think about the properties that are now coming out as movies. Because Hasbro is doing a whole cinematic universe now.
Which again blows my mind. But then
You know,
again, Battleship got a movie, so where
Battleship
the
got a
hell's my
movie.
Dungeons and Dragons movie
There's
with
a
the kid? Give me the little kid with a big gigantic fucking with the little hat with the horns on it and a big old club. Let's do this.
well, it may not be that far away. I mean, they're doing a Visionaries movie, and I never thought I'd live to say those words. Visionaries is going to be part of this cinematic universe.
That's wow.
Yeah,
Okay, let's do this.
exactly. And think about what comes out in what is it now? 4 days, 5 days is Voltron hits Netflix.
Oh yeah, that's right. Oh man, yeah. Better put that on the list for next week.
Yeah, because we're probably going to I know I'm probably going to sit down as soon as it comes out and watch the whole thing straight through. I
You
have no
including
doubt.
both, most likely.
Probably.
I'll probably have watched the first few episodes by then.
Yep.
Yeah, freaking
Absolutely.
Voltron. That and Netflix is getting like all the entire Disney library just straight up.
Yes.
It's gonna be
Everything.
crazy.
That is going to be wild.
Yeah, Disney's literally like, hey, you know what? We used to keep the stuff in a vault and release it every once in a great while to keep interest up every once in a while, and now they're like, you know what? Fuck it. Here, you guys want to enjoy all of our content? Here it is. You can enjoy it anytime you want. Just keep throwing money at us.
Yep. And people will. People absolutely will. I mean, there was a whole month, actually 2 months now that I think about it, that I paid for Netflix just so I could watch The Secret of Nim.
Bless you, sir.
I like the girls and I watched that every single frickin' day.
Hey, The Legend of Nim and the books from that was part of my childhood. And some of the themes and stuff from that carry on in my head to this very day. It is phenomenal. And now that Disney's going to be in there constantly, and you're going to hate me for saying this, and I hate myself for saying this, it's a whole new world.
Oh, oh, I should
I'll
have
see
known that was
myself out.
coming. I should have seen that one coming because, yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know where to go from there. I really don't.
Well, then let's go on to the next thing. Let's talk about so many Kickstarters.
Yes, so many Kickstarters. Set
Oh
it up.
man, it
You
has
are the
been a
Kickstarter man.
yeah, yeah. Well, of course. I mean, I am and was the tabletop RPG guy on the site. So yeah, my roommates are totally loving that. Let's see what we get up on the Kickstarter docket today. First, let's talk about Hollywood. It is a tabletop RPG that is set in the 1940s. Is essentially noir with a demonic bent. You have a bunch of demons that have shown up, and other than that, it is strictly a very noir thing. Characters play, you know, people on the down and outs with nowhere else to go in the city that's all dark, and all of these terrible things are happening, and it's your job just to survive. I thought that the theme was really good, and I haven't seen a good noir thing since Deadlands Noir, which, if you haven't picked that up, I would heartily suggest it. It is a really good kind of in between for people who like the Deadlands world, but also want to get that good noir feel to it, especially because it's set down in New Orleans. I think I'm probably going to be kickstarting this one. I think it's a neat setting, and it's already been released in France, so any of our French listeners, if there are any, can already enjoy this, and I would love to hear some of their feedback on it.
Absolutely. I mean, the setting alone intrigues me, and you can never go wrong with demons, because demons are always fun. But 1940s noir, yeah, that definitely gets the glitter going in my head. You know.
Yep. Speaking of being on the down and out, another one that was brought up, and I'll be giving you links to all these, both in the chat as well as probably be up on the YouTube link if you all are listening over on YouTube or wherever the hell you listen to podcasts. One called Red Markets. It's a game of economic horror. It kind of takes a more realistic bent on the whole zombies are showing up and killing everyone thing, in that you have two kinds of people. You have the people that are inside this happy little bubble, where the people that have, the people that were affluent and able to survive were able to kind of wall themselves off and kind of live in this utopia. And then you have everyone else who's trying their damnedest to buy their way in. Those people are the ones that actually have to decide between, is this bullet better putting it in zombie's brain, or better to sell it so that you can amass more money so that you can try and buy your way into paradise. It's no surprise or shock to anyone who actually knows me. This reminds me a lot of Zardoz, which is one of my favorite movies of all time. The people snickering in the back and shut the hell up. And it's a really neat way of juxtaposing that whole have versus have not, and it gives a lot of it gives a different feel to what usually ends up happening in these kinds of games, where you're starting off at the bottom and now you're here. In this, they're quantifying it a lot, adding zombies to the mix, and making you have to make a lot of really harsh decisions as to things like, do I save this person by wasting some bullets and trying to do that, which might make me go in the negative today, which is bad because that's another day I'm going to have to go out and fight more zombies so that I can try and get in to paradise and not have to worry about this shit anymore. I thought that was a really neat thing, and hell, I mean, the Kickstarter is already funded, so maybe you can get in there and get some extra stuff on that.
Well, yeah, exactly. I mean, we're seeing, just going through the list, a lot of interesting stuff is hitting Kickstarter, and it's not just video games that people are talking about anymore, especially not us, because, we came from that background. I mean, I've been out of touch with a lot of these for years now, for a plethora of reasons, but every time I see one of these, I just get excited and want to look at it, and, it tempts
I
me more and more.
I think people are getting burned out of video game Kickstarters outside of the rare one that's being pushed by this celebrity that everyone knows, and it's really the video game one is starting to shrink, and the ones for everyone else like tabletop RPGs, miniature games, stuff like that, those are starting to expand. I think that's better for everyone. Making a tabletop RPG only requires what, two or three people and maybe a half dozen to a dozen contractors who to go get the art, write up any extra stuff, maybe help with the binding and things. It's a lower cost that requires fewer people, and it's a lot easier to manage than trying to make a video game, which can easily take more than six people, more than a dozen people, and
And a long
they're
ass
just
time.
exactly. There's so many other dependencies that are going on there that it's just not as much of a worthwhile investment. Goodness knows I've spent some money on a few Kickstarters that just did not pan out, even afterward, and I've been pretty disappointed in the video game realm. Tabletop realm, every single one has come out at worst a few months late, with one notable exception, and I've been pretty happy with all the products I've gotten.
Well, this is it. And, now that everybody, like, the thing with the video game Kickstarters is that they've drawn people to Kickstarter, so now they're also exploring more, and some of the projects that might not have gotten seen are getting seen. So,
Oh hell yes! There've been I have a couple of friends that do a comic book writer friend that got his start with Kickstarter, and now he's rolling in projects, and a lot of his stuff is freaking hilarious. And he does a really good job writing, and he goes and finds some good artists that work well with him. That kind of stuff just coming together, two people making something, putting it out there, getting the funds, and doing it live. It's magical, and that I have no problem throwing money at these days.
well, exactly. I mean, even I'm contemplating a Kickstarter project, so that tells you something.
Hell, to be honest, so am I, but that's something we'll definitely talk about later. The third one, which I just linked in our chat, is a thing called Threadbare RPG. When you were a kid, you probably had a bunch of little stuffed animals and like little GI Joes and all that stuff, and you'd make them run around and go and then pew 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 and all that stuff, right?
Absolutely.
Here's an
Who
RPG where
didn't?
you can actually put stats to them and go nuts. It's called the Threadbare RPG. You play a jury-rigged toy in a broken, stitched-together world. It's kind of horror and kind of not. You can pick. Let me look through here because I can't remember all this stuff. You can pick a softie, which is a plush toy, a mecha, which is a hard shell toy, or a sock, which is a single sock, because of course the other one got eaten by the laundry. Yeah, the system is based off Apocalypse World, which is 2d6. Really simple to use. I wouldn't say it's elegant, but it definitely does the job. And for people that want to play something that is weirdly post-apocalyptic, but also kind of cute, I think this would be right up their alley.
Well, yeah, I mean, you don't need complicated systems for things. And this just sounds like it'd be something, a fun game to sit down with some night with a bunch of alcohol and just do some silly shit.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, just thinking of all the over the top stuff. I mean, it's like one part toys and one part something Tim Burton came up with.
Yeah, exactly. I could see this having a large following too, and I can just picture the character art that'll come out of it on DeviantArt.
Oh, geez, me too. Yeah, that's going to be nuts. And it looks like they've already successfully funded, so now would be a good time to try and get in a little early and get some hardcover copies of it on the cheap.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, these things are out there. You just gotta look, and we're gonna keep bringing them. I think every week we're gonna have at least one Kickstarter, because there are interesting things going on in the world.
Yeah, and I mean, see, that's the kind of creative shit that you should be throwing your money at. You're unhappy with Captain America or whatever, go look for something else that deserves your time and attention. And, maybe come back to Captain America in a few months once they're done being stupid.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
All right, now let's talk about something really important to everyone. Okay, it's no, I don't know how important it is to everyone, but at least to me and to you. You have been doing this shit for 5 years, and I've put up with your shit for what, 4?
Well, we've known each other longer than that, but in terms of this particular subject, yeah, it's been 4 years that you've been constantly annoying me. I mean, so helpful and interesting, and yeah. 5 years of Angel Syndicate. Good God, what was I thinking? I say that every anniversary, I know. But yeah, the 5 year mark has come.
Yep.
Oh,
Happy anniversary, man. Hey, you've been doing. Angel Syndicate has been covering a lot of shit. Between video games, tabletop games, um, miniature games, most kinds of nerd pop culture. I've seen this website transform from this admittedly raggedy piece of shit to something that actually looks relatively respectful. So good on you.
well, I was drunk a lot. No. It's been, there's been a lot of ups and downs. We've had staff changes and departures, and there have been periods where not much has gotten. We haven't put out a lot of content because we're doing this completely independently, funded out of my pocket. Right? It's when people have time, and it's about the things that we love. And there's going to be highs and lows, and we don't have any set policies because, well, there's too many sites out there that just produce shit on a regular basis, constantly, every day. And you can see it through, you know, across social media. All this content comes out, and some of it is just crap to get clicks. I mean, I can understand they have to, keep their overlords happy, but the thing with me is I always wanted to keep us independent and preferably ad free because, you know, why have all that trouble? I mean, yes, it'd be nice to make money, but that's why I might set up a Patreon account. But otherwise, it's about covering the things that we love and delivering content that's actually interesting. I mean, yes, most of our news is, the press releases with some comments because you're going to read it no matter what. We just give you a place to collect it and read it. But the other content, talking about reviews and all the things we love, and even the podcast, it's a way to discuss the things that we love and enjoy them. And doing it for 5 years, it's kept me from going insane. Although I was insane to start it.
I was about to say, but I mean that's kind of the thing. You're doing it because you enjoy it, and that's something that has been lost a lot in a lot of the media that we're ingesting these days. It's a hell of a lot easier to cater to outrage than it is to say, "Hey, I found this cool thing. Let me tell you how cool it is." Some people are starting to turn around and are starting to put out, trying to focus on more positive things. But I can safely say, without a shadow of a doubt, that Angel Syndicate has always been focusing on the positive, trying to put out stuff that makes you want to go to it because it's cool and not because, man, I need to go find something to be upset about today.
Well, exactly. I mean, at the very beginning, I put out a simple mandate that we weren't going to cover sensational shit. We weren't going to sensationalize shit. I mean, if something big happens, we cover it if it's of value to our readers and if it's meaningful. But there's a lot of stuff that happens that either is vaguely related to gaming or not related to gaming that still gets covered by other sites, and I'm just like, yeah, no. It's not gaming news, it's not gaming related, it's not geek related, it's just shit that happens that happened to involve a game. Or a game was involved somehow. Or something was involved. But it's not what we're doing. And, I mean, when something big breaks like a big hiring, we might cover that, but not really. Because, yeah, okay, so somebody left one company and went to another one. Well, okay, that happens. People move around. But it's not vital news because people aren't going to go, oh my god, the world's coming to an end. We make exceptions, of course, like the whole Konami thing. We talked that to death. But that
Oh,
wasn't on
jeez.
the site. That was social media. That's where we take these things. We usually take it to social media or for the cast. We're not going to make an article out of it because, it's not it's not positive content, and we don't need to regurgitate and perpetuate the drama.
I agree wholeheartedly, and again, I mean that's why I'm here, and well, frankly, that's why you've lasted 5 years, and you still have an audience. So
That and
there we
I'm too
go.
stupid to quit.
Well, yeah. Hey, you know what? That's what they say. You keep doing it until fake it till you make it. Keep doing it until you fall over, succeed, get rich or die trying, etc., etc. Bottom line, happy 5 years.
I thank you, good sir, and thank you for putting up with me for 4 of it.
All
Crazy
right, man.
motherfucker.
Yeah, I know, right?
Yes, now
All
for
right.
upcoming hype.
Yes.
Battlefield 1 and Titanfall 2, which reportedly are 3 weeks away from each other in terms of release date, or at least that's the estimate at this point. We know Battlefield 1 is coming out in October the 21st, I believe, or something like that. But Titanfall will be coming out ahead of it. I'm interested. Titanfall, I had a love hate relationship with it. I enjoyed it for a while, but it got old fast. I've never been big on Battlefield, but this one has really started to grab my interest.
I've got to agree. They're doing something different, and that's really 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 good.
It is, because, you can only do so much World War II or modern warfare or futuristic warfare, and things just start to, like, they all start to blend together and look the same and share the same. There's so many different things that they could do to make things interesting, and I think going back to World War One is a very interesting way to put some life back into the franchise.
Yeah, it hasn't been completely trod over to death, and it looks like they're going with a little bit alternate history, at least based on the screenshots. And uh, it's gonna be a very difficult choice for people towards the end, especially since they decided to release within 3 fucking weeks of each other. Why the hell would you possibly want to do that? I'm gonna bitch about this
Well,
for just a minute.
go for it.
Listen, you've got a game. It's a first person game where you shoot dudes in the face. If you have your game which shoots dudes in the face, and then you say, "Oh, wait a minute, there's a game that's coming out 3 weeks earlier that's also about shooting dudes in the face," one of you should push your release date just just to make some sense. Yeah, the one that's going to come out early is going to come out earlier. You would think that that's going to make more money, but in the end, all players are going to look at and they're going to see, "Oh, wait, both these are coming out together. I don't know which one I'm going to get." And either A, they're going to say, "You know what? Fuck it." Because it's not like I don't have any other shooters to play. I'm looking at you, Overwatch. I can just wait for a sale for this one. Or, people, you're going to have your diehards of one franchise or the other and say, "You know what, fuck this. Day one release, yeah." And then the other one is just going to go down to the wayside. The short answer is both of you are going to fucking lose. And what the hell is wrong with your marketing department? It's not like one or the other of the game isn't going to need more fucking polish when it comes out anyway. So why don't you go ahead and build in that damn time? Let the date slip a little bit, work on it a little more, and then make everyone fucking happy.
Well, all valid points. I mean, they could have. The ironic thing is that they're both coming from EA. You know, both titles are coming from EA, so they could
Yes and
do
no.
whatever to an extent.
Yeah.
They do have some ability to perhaps manage the release dates better, or have some effect on that. Let's put it that way. So,
Yeah.
they, I mean, they're not going to move Battlefield because that's the kickoff of the holiday season. That's where the money is. They're not going to move that. They could push Titanfall 2 to, February and into the quieter zone where, people have recovered from all their Christmas spending and there could be money to grab there. I mean, we're starting to see this with TV where they're doing summer series now. People are actually watching TV during the summer because there's actually stuff to watch. Well, there are gaps in release schedules for games, especially for big releases, that they could slide Titanfall 2 in, and it might actually do really well. because it won't have anything competing with it. But where they have it placed right now, and everything that's going to hit in October, it's dicey on whether or not this is going to go anywhere. Because yes, people might pick up the game on day one, but what about the DLC? You know, nobody's going to have money for DLC if they're going to be picking up all those October and November titles.
Yeah, it's good. I get this wicked feeling that they're probably trying to shoot themselves in the foot one way or the other, or they have got a hard date that they need to make some very big decisions, considering the fact that EA as a whole is trying to run two gigantic ass games at the same time, and honestly, manpower becomes an issue, and that's a whole lot of money that's being thrown into two different things. I get just the thinking about it. The more I think about it, the more I'm pretty damn sure that come January, surprise, surprise, we're gonna hear some layoffs.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. But that's been a pretty often flow of things the last couple of years
Especially
anyway.
considering the company involved, and considering that, if memory serves, the head of that company is still on record as saying, "Hey, layoffs happen. They happen every year. That's just the ebb and flow of game development," which makes me sad.
Yeah, well, I'm going to say a thing, and that is, as sad as those layoffs have been, which they have been terribly sad, especially for those who are affected, it's adding a lot of meat to the indie scene, because we're seeing new studios starting to rise on the indie market that are actually making really good quality stuff. So in a way, for some developers, it might be what pushes them into starting their own things and taking risks and being innovative. So, as much as I want to say layoffs suck, sometimes really good things come out of that. Not often, but sometimes.
Well, we'll see what happens. At the very least, we'll have a couple of fun games to try out in November and compare and contrast, like we've been doing with Overwatch and Battleborn, and it'll probably be us screaming at each other for a good 30 minutes. So stay tuned.
Yeah, it would not surprise me.
Yeah.
I think that covers all the hype for this week. This has been a really quiet week. It's been a slow news week.
You know what? That's fine, because in a couple of weeks I'm going to be talking about Grand Kingdom when it's ready to come out, and that's the one that I'm personally hyped for. But I don't see a reason to bring it up now because 2 weeks. Other than that, oh yeah, fucking Steam sale. We will have a big long thing about what to pick up and what not to pick up during that.
Yes.
So that's going to be an absolute blast.
Absolutely, and we're probably going to have one show where we're going to talk about Starbound 1.0 because it's supposedly finally coming. So we'll probably have a lot to say about it at that point.
Definitely. But you know what? Let's wrap this up with what we're playing. Hey David, what the hell are you playing this week?
This week I have been playing Black Desert Online again. More Stellaris. I'll be playing, and I'm going to be playing some Just Cause 3 DLC, and that pretty much covers it, I think. And some Final Fantasy X. And maybe I'll pop in some Chrono Trigger because I'm in the mood for some Chrono Trigger. What the hell are you playing, Matt?
Oh, Overwatch. Hello, Overwatch. I've been playing lots of Overwatch. Did I mention I've been playing Overwatch?
You and millions of other people.
I know, right? Yeah. I've been watching a whole lot of fun plays of the game where I watch someone fall off a cliff while their turret destroys things, or watch someone press Q and watch people fall over, or yeah, I can bitch about that later. But a fair bit of Overwatch. I fired up Icewind Dale Enhanced Edition again because I've been kind of itching for something kind of old school RPG, and I've been doing a little bit of research into CCGs, which may or may not surprise a few people and may or may not have something to do with some of the things I'm working on. Outside of that, yeah, that's it, and I believe we're done.
Yeah, I think that's it for tonight. It was a good episode. We covered some different stuff for a change.
Yeah,
a lot of bitching about Cap. Hail Hydra. So we'll leave it there, and we'll pick it up again next week. Thanks for listening.
Absolutely. See y'all later.
And we're off.
All right.